New tariffs on imports from Canada, China, and Mexico are now in effect, and Ukraine is drafting plans to defend itself without U.S. assistance after President Trump suspended all U.S. military aid to that country. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. President Trump's threats to impose across-the-board tariffs on Canada and Mexico became reality overnight. He imposed 25% tariffs on them and a fresh 10% tariff for China. Trump says it's to stop these countries from illegally sending fentanyl into the U.S. NPR's Brian Mann has more.
In a statement explaining new tariffs that go into effect today, the White House again pointed to drugs and fentanyl as a key rationale, describing overdose deaths in the U.S. as a national emergency and saying other countries have failed to adequately address drug smuggling. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau punched back, saying fentanyl smuggling from Canada is, quote, near zero. Chinese officials, meanwhile, say they've already stepped up drug interdiction efforts. A spokesman for China's foreign ministry described the fentanyl issue as a pretext for new tariffs. Both countries say they'll retaliate with new tariffs on U.S. goods. This trade fight comes as deaths from fentanyl are dropping fast in the U.S., down more than 30% over the last year, according to federal researchers. Brian Mann, NPR News, Washington.
President Trump says he is suspending U.S. military aid to Ukraine. NPR's Joanna Kakissis reports Ukraine is drafting plans to manage without the U.S. aid, at least in the short term.
Ukrainian lawmaker Oleksandr Merezhko, who chairs the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament, said the pause feels like betrayal from Ukraine's strongest single ally.
When you deprive a country of capabilities and weaponry to defend itself, it inevitably has tragic consequences in terms of human lives. So I didn't believe that it would happen.
The pause affects at least $1 billion in weapons and ammunition already in transit or on order. Ukraine says it has enough stockpiles to manage for a few months without U.S. assistance. The European Union and the United Kingdom are also offering to increase military aid. Joanna Kakissis, NPR News, Kyiv.
President Trump will give an address to a joint session of Congress tonight. NPR's Claudia Grisales says he is expected to demand that lawmakers move on a huge bill featuring his priorities.
Now, Trump wants to put the squeeze on Republicans to move very quickly on getting a partisan bill out of Congress that would install another series of massive changes, from $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. It's an extension of a program installed during his first term, as well as a dramatic $2 trillion in cuts to federal spending that has some worried about Medicaid cuts. And before they can even get to all of that, they have to address a government shutdown deadline.
NPR's Claudia Grisales reporting. The Senate has confirmed billionaire Linda McMahon to be the next U.S. Education Secretary. She served as the chief of the Small Business Administration during President Trump's first term in the White House. McMahon says that she will carry out his plans to dismantle the U.S. Education Department. You're listening to NPR News.